Hey, good morning. This is Charlie Brash Sorensen, one of the Wisdom's daughters, and I'm here with Peggy Becko. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about the second of the five founding values of the Church of Wisdom or Wonder. We call ourselves COWw. The first of the values you can find out on our YouTube channel, and we posted that on Tuesday, February the 19th. So today, value number 2. I'm going to read it to you right from our introduction that we've written about the Church of Wisdom and Wonder. There is strength in humbleness. The personal qualities of being both humble and strong are not in conflict. Taking pride in one's real accomplishments is very different than bragging as a way of setting yourself above another. So we're going to talk today about strength and humbleness, and I think we'll start with some comments about strength.
Yes, strength can be interpreted a lot of different ways, and the most obvious, of course, is somebody strong being able to lift 100 pounds or something, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is strength of character, the strength to face whatever life may be throwing in your direction, strength to persevere through hard times. That's the type of strength that we're discussing here.
I looked up the definition of strength and I really resonated to this, Peggy, and that is the capacity to withstand great force or pressure. So I guess for me today, the thing I'd like to say about strength is that it's not necessarily a physical thing, although that can be very helpful, but it's really a strength of personality. When a lot of things are leaning on you, you feel a lot of pressure in your life. This is about a personal interior strength. We try to build our values around things that people are looking for, and that's why it may be a little bit of a confusion to have humbleness and strength in the same value, but we think they really go together.
I agree entirely, and what we're talking about when we're shifting into humbleness is not something where you feel inferior or less than,
Yes.
or that somehow you aren't as good as somebody else. Humbleness means, as C.S. Lewis says, basically, it's not thinking less of yourself; it's thinking of yourself less. Which, if you stop and think about it, it's very true. When you take pride in what you do, as Charlie was saying, it's one thing. But to take pride or to go to the next level, to arrogance, that's a whole nother thing. That level, you're trying to put yourself above people. You're trying to say, I'm so much better than you. Look what I did. But on the other hand, if you're humble, it's more of a thing of, look at this thing that I did. It took a lot of effort. I'm very proud of what I did. And is there some way I can use what I did or what I accomplished and through my pride lend a hand to somebody else or set an example for someone else? It's not belittling, it's uplifting.
When Peggy and I were preparing to talk to our audience today, I was sharing a story, which I think I'm going to share today with our audience. And that is quite a number of years ago, I decided I was going to take a class and take an examination to have my health insurance license. I didn't necessarily need it in my job because I wasn't selling health insurance, but it might come in handy. And it was really a challenge. I only had 2 weeks to prepare. There were a lot of things to learn and memorize. And I even took time on flying back and forth from a vacation to study on the airplane back in the days when you had flashcards. And when I finished taking the exam and I passed it, I felt this real surge of pride because I'd been under pressure. It was a new topic, something I didn't know about. And I told several people about it. And I never had one sense of bragging. There was, in fact, I think it was a perfect example of humbleness in strength, that I wasn't wearing a badge of honor as much as I was honoring myself in a way. So I think sometimes it's important to share personal stories with our audience, something to think about, really. And I'd like to say a few things about what Peggy was talking about with humbleness, because when I was thinking about humbleness in preparation for today, one of the things that came up was I didn't want our audience to think we were talking about humility, because oftentimes humbleness and humility are joined together. And so I looked up a definition of humility. And humility means to be modest or to have a low view of oneself. And I thought, no, that's not what we're talking about here. And then when I looked closer at the definition, that's a definition that's often used by religions. And we're not talking about religion in our discussions here. We're talking about using our minds, logical thinking, reasoning things out. So humility to us can be used as a synonym for humbleness, but it means neither pride nor self-abasement. So you're riding right down the middle when you're humble, between abasing yourself as not ever being good enough, subservient, obedient, and we like to think of this as thinking for yourself.
Exactly. It's a shame that in so many, I guess, cultures, religions, various ways of viewing the world, so often pride is put down as a terrible thing, or instead of feeling proud of your accomplishments and at the same time modest, like, look what it took me to do this, you're supposed to feel somehow inferior, that you're not as good, and it's really a very, in our opinion, a twisted way of looking at
definitely.
things. So we encourage people to stop and really think and analyze this in your own life as to what does this mean to you? When you analyze what these words, I mean, words are powerful. So you do want to think about the words. Words can be very powerful. But what do they really mean to you? We all kind of think, well, I know what humble means, or I know what strong means, but do you really? I mean, have you thought about it and really extrapolated what it means in your life, as opposed to just whatever you've been told or whatever you think you should believe, instead of thinking for yourself and coming down to what it really means for you?
Yeah, we strongly encourage people to keep a journal as they listen to the things that we talk about here, or that we write about on our Facebook page, or pin on our Pinterest pins. And this, I think, would be one of those great things that you could write about. What does it mean to me to be humble? What does it mean to me to be strong?
I think I want to interject here too,
Sure.
that when you do this, when you don't want to just throw out whatever comes to mind first. You want to really think about it, because it's something that goes pretty deep for all of us.
Yeah, and we consider it a core value, one of our 5 founding values. So we don't take this lightly, and we've had some pretty lively discussions before we sat down to talk with everyone this today. So hopefully you'll have a lively discussion in your mind, and we do encourage everyone to correspond with us at our Gmail address and on our Facebook page, and we'll provide that for everybody after this video. So should I read once again, Peggy, that value before
Let's
we
do
wrap
that.
up?
Let's read that one more time.
Okay. The value itself is there is strength in humbleness. So important things to think about. And just as a reminder, being humble is not negative.
Yes.
So I guess I'll finish up then by, unless you have some parting words telling people we're going to talk about next
Oh
week.
yeah, let's do that. We
Okay.
have next week coming up, our next discussion, our next value is going to be basically the idea of a more lightweight, minimal life. And by this we mean eliminating mental clutter and fixation on defining yourself by things that you own. It's not that you shouldn't own things, it's not that you shouldn't do things, but don't define your life or yourself or your friends and family by what you or they own or how how it all comes together that way. What you need to do is think about it a little more broadly. So we're going to talk about that next week.
Great. Thank you for joining us on our second value of our 5 founding values, and we'll see you again next Tuesday.
Excellent.